What is going on, guys? Matt here. So today we're not looking at your classic pocket knife, your classic folding knife or a fixed blade. We are looking at a multi-tool. And as you can see, we are looking at the Leatherman Sidekick. Really interesting multi-tool. I wanted to do a review on this because this is the tool, the knife, whatever you could call it, that I have owned the longest. I have owned this over 10 years. I think it's about 11 years at this point. I received this as a Christmas present from my brother, and I have owned this and I have abused this and I have used this. So I think I can give you guys a really comprehensive kind of data point on how this tool performs, what it's useful for, what I like about it, what I dislike about it, and what's unique about it. So I'm really excited to review the Leatherman Sidekick. So first, let's do some size comparisons real quick before we get into it. So let me compare it kind of to what probably its like most chief competition would be, and that would be the Cold Steel Large Espada. No, just kidding. Look at this thing. Oh my God. Do you guys hate it when I do that? I don't care. It's fun. It's fun for me. You can see the camera mount right there in that polish. Look at this thing, guys. This will be coming up for review here soon. That, I can hardly fit the blade on here. This is the large polished Espada. Okay, no, that's not what that's not what you'd compare this to. Let's look at it against the Gerber mini suspension, another multi-tool. The full-size suspension is kind of closer in size to this, but not quite the same size. That's really all. We don't need to do any more size. Well, let's do one more. Okay. We'll do it closed, Cold Steel Recon 1. So if you're familiar with the Recon 1, that's kind of the size that you're getting on this. Okay, let's talk about the specs of the Leatherman Sidekick. So the Leatherman Sidekick is 3.8 inches closed, 6.6 inches overall when it is opened, and I assume that's when kind of it's just suspended with these, pliers open. It has a 2.6 inch main blade, which is probably going to be the tool you would be using a lot if you'd be using this, kind of just a simple drop point style, a little bit of belly right there, made of 420 HC. It is 7 ounces overall, 1.27 inches wide, and 0.56 inches thick. It has 14 tools on it, and we will go over those kind of as the review goes on. And if you want to pick this thing up, you're looking, I've seen it between 60 and 70 bucks, sometimes a little bit cheaper, but usually in that price range. They also make a version, Leatherman makes a version, called the Wingman, and that has scissors instead of a saw, and I believe there's a couple other different tools, but it's mostly the same except for that scissor, that saw. Okay, let's talk about what I like about the Leatherman Sidekick. So, as I said, I have owned this for a long time. I have abused this. I've used it in multiple projects, kind of renovating houses, just outdoor uses, whenever I didn't have pliers, in really any case like that, working on my car, working on my motorcycle. This has come in handy so often because I think it has such a diverse amount of tools. And so that's what I'll talk about first, is I like how many tools this has. Specifically, I think that the tools internally, so let's just go through them real quick. So we have a can opener, which, I've used a couple times, not that often. We have, this is a file right there. You can kind of see it, right? But it is also a kind of a ruler right there too. So that's pretty cool. I use that file sometimes even for filing my nails, even though that's it's just a regular file. It's not really a nail file. So we have kind of this serrated blade as well. I don't use it that often. As you can see, the thing is probably still shaving sharp because I haven't hardly used it, but that's great when the main knife is not sharpened. Let's go over to the other side real quick. We have a 3D screwdriver, which is cool. So this Phillips head, a lot of Phillips heads kind of look, let's see, like this, right? They kind of just have a narrow head, and that way you can kind of fit it into a Phillips head screw. But I really like this Phillips head because it actually gives you more depth and more contact surface, and this works really well. I have a friend who says that a multi-tool is going to be about 70% as good as the tool itself, and I think that's especially true, maybe even more so, with this Phillips head. So I really appreciate that Phillips head. And then you have this flat head. If there is one thing negative I can say, and we'll just mention this here instead of the what I don't like about it, is that flathead's quite thick, so it doesn't really, some flathead screws it will not fit in there because it's too thick. But there's a lot of tools on there. You also obviously have the pliers. They are needle nose pliers, as you can see, and you have wire cutters. And these work fantastically. Those wire cutters I have used to change guitar strings so many times and cut the excess off. Obviously, you have that knife. it is locking. Nice liner lock, and then you have the saw, and that is also locking. Okay, so lots of tools, and I think they're all awesome. Very, very well thought out on what tools are used on this multi-tool. So I love that about it. Another thing I like is the pocket clip. I just like that it includes a pocket clip, and also I think this pocket clip's quite nice. It's a little loose actually at the moment. Just noticed that. I'll have to tighten that up a little bit. But it's got good retention. It's not too tight, not too loose. Just very, very well done on that pocket clip. Okay, what else do I like? Well, I like that this has a blade that locks. A lot of multi-tools, even the bigger ones, have blades that are kind of designed like slip joints. They have a detent, and that detent will kind of hold it in place, similar to this Gerber mini suspension. So I like this blade or this multi-tool, but it kind of has a detent that holds it right there. But obviously, if you press it down, it's going to close. With a full-size multi-tool like this, I love that it has that locking blade. And you know what? That blade design is actually quite nice. It's easy to sharpen because it's 420 HC. It's very utilitarian. I can even choke up like this on it. Man, that's actually not that uncomfortable, I've noticed. You know, it's relatively comfortable to just hold this thing in your hand. So I really appreciate that. I really like that it locks, and I like that it's strong. There's no movement up and down, side to side on this thing, and it is still one hand opening. I like that they put that little opening hole in there. I think that's fantastic. So I love the blade and just about everything about it, you know, within the context of being on a multi-tool. So what else do I like? I mentioned that Phillips screwdriver, so I won't go into it anymore, but I do really like the Phillips screwdriver on here. I think that 3D design is really, really cool. A lot of multi-tools have been doing that, so I think that's quite cool. Actually, this Gerber mini suspension, while we're kind of talking about 3D screwdrivers, even though it's this small, I think this is cool. I like this. Maybe if you guys want a review, I'll do one on this. This actually has a 3D screwdriver, so I think that's pretty cool as well. So yeah, like that screwdriver. I think it's well done. Another thing I really like about it is the weight. Now this is 7 ounces, so that's heavy. I think the Recon 1 is about, 4.5, 5 ounces. So, and this is a 4-inch blade, but it doesn't have nearly the capabilities. I mean, this is a pocket knife. It's not a multi-tool, but you know, you just have a lot of capabilities. So 7 ounces for 14 different tools, and just the vast capabilities you have, I think is fantastic. You know, a lot of these tools, you know, they're not anything to skimp at, you know, like that, especially that screwdriver, both of those screwdrivers, that pocket knife, you know, I could work with this pocket knife, you know, I want to say all day. You know, there's really no hot spots on this as a handle. It's very contoured. You can see there's nothing kind of jutting out. So your hand just really fits on it, and it's quite nice. So I think that the tools, just all well done, very, very well done. And, you know, considering the weight, 7 ounces for all this, I think that's a good package. Okay. Another thing I quite like is the spring on the pliers. I know a lot of people who have fantastic multi-tools, whether they be Leathermans, Victorinox, Gerbers, and the pliers are not spring assisted. I don't know if they like them that way, but man, is it convenient when you're trying to grab something and you just have that spring assist. I just think it's fantastic. I much prefer pliers with that spring assist. And you know what? I've had it for, again, 11 years, and I've used it a ton, guys. You can see all the use that this has on it. I'll talk about what that brown stuff is because you can kind of see it all over the knife. But, you know, I've used this a ton, and the spring is still plenty strong, still works great. So I quite like that spring assist. Okay, last thing I want to talk about, and it is a big positive. So I will say with one caveat on this next like point. Okay, so I love how the detent works on these tools, on the tools that are not locking. So let's go with this this file and ruler kind of thing. You hear that, guys? So they have these little I guess you could say they're nail kind of clips. You pull it out, pulls out relatively smooth, and then let me just put this up next to the mic. It locks in very nicely, even though it's not a locking tool. So the detent is very, very good, and it's not impossible to get out. You know, a lot of times if the detent is really strong, you just really have to pry these things out of here, right? This thing pulls out just fine, and it really, really locks into place, and it's very strong. Again, same thing on this side. So when I pull this Phillips head out, you know, it pulls out just fine, and it really opens up. You know, when I have this thing closed and that detent is there, it takes a lot to press that in. So I love how the detent is set up on these. I think it's good and strong, and that's how all multi-tools should have their tools if they are not locking. I will say this now, when I got this multi-tool, just about every tool, including the blade and the saw, they were nearly impossible to get out. I couldn't get it out with one hand. What I had to do is I had to loosen these up right here, and those are Torx bits. I had to loosen these up, and I had to just put some grease in them. Put some grease in all this in here, some oil, and once I loosened them up and put some oil in, the detent was perfect and it was good to go. So that will kind of lead us into the negative. So when I got it, you know, it wasn't perfect. There were some things I had to do. Of course, I would prefer if it was better out of the box, but given, you know, given the price, given that it's made in the United States, which I really appreciate as well, another positive, given the lifetime warranty, I have a friend who's sending one in, the Wingman version, so a little bit different than this, because his screwdriver broke and they're replacing that. Leatherman has an awesome warranty. So given that price, you know, I'm willing to say, okay, I just had to unscrew some stuff, no big deal. Not the end of the world at all. But it is one thing I don't like. And the other thing, only other thing I really don't like is, you know, with this specific version of the Sidekick, I would have preferred scissors. Now you can say, Matt, that's not, you know, just go get the Wingman. Well, I don't know how useful a saw is in this modern age. I've used it, I think, once maybe. I was outside and I was, you know, I think I was doing some campfire stuff and I used it to saw out. I can't remember what it was, but I think I've only used it once. So I really would prefer something a little bit more utilitarian, especially because I work in IT and having scissors is always a very beneficial thing. So I think I'd prefer scissors on that, and the scissors do lock on the Wingman version. So I would prefer scissors, but other than that, guys, I think it's fantastic. What's unique about it is I think the price and the capability you're getting. So for, you know, 60, 70 bucks, you're getting really a full-size, full-on multi-tool that can handle just about anything you can need it to, including, you know, full-on carving tasks, full-on, you know, screwdriver tasks, stuff like that you don't really get with the smaller, lighter weight multi-tools and in this price range, you know, for an American-made tool. So I think that's awesome. I think that just the capability is what's unique about such kind of a compact, lightweight package for what you're getting. So would I recommend it? Absolutely. I have used it over the years. I'll mention I used it, that brown stuff right there. That's actually wood dye. I can't remember what exactly was happening, but I was trying to dye wood and I don't think I had any brushes. And I think I took these pliers and I grabbed like a paper, yeah, this is really sketchy. I grabbed a paper towel and I like dunked it in the wood dye and then I rubbed it across the wood. I don't recommend you doing that, but I got, you know, wood stain all over this thing, but who cares? This is a using tool, right? This is a tool. And I have owned this for so long. I have used this for so many different things, and I carry it every single day in my coin pocket at work because it comes in handy, especially working in a technical field. And, you know, it's just one of those tools that I have a lot of affection for, that it's one of those things I'm just going to hang on to forever, and just keep using it and keep loving it. So I absolutely recommend it. This is a review of over a decade of hard use, and it's, you know, it's an A+ for me. It's an absolute recommend. So guys, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. We're past 1,000 subscribers. I really appreciate you guys taking a look at these things. We got a few more reviews coming up. As you saw, we got the Cold Steel Espada Large coming up. Be looking out for that guy. That's going to be a fun review to do. But let me know what you'd like to see reviewed in the comments. Let me know what you think of the Leatherman series multi-tools. Do you have them? Have you used them? What do you think of them? And we will see you in the next video. Peace.